by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord could understand that this man approaching was Ramananda Roy, and he wanted to see him immediately. But because he was in the renounced order of life, he restrained himself from seeing a person of political affairs. But Ramananda Rai, as a great devotee, was attracted by the features of Lord Chaitanya as a sannyasi, and he himself came to see him. Ramananda Rai, on reaching Chaitanya, prostrated himself to offer him obeisances and respect. Lord Chaitanya received him by vibrating Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When Ramananda Roy presented his credentials, Lord Chaitanya embraced him, and both of them became overwhelmed with ecstasy. The Brahmanas who accompanied Ramananda Roy were surprised that these two persons were overwhelmed with transcendental ecstasy simply by embracing. The Brahmanas were also all stalwarts of the rituals, and they could not understand the meaning of these devotional symptoms. They were rather surprised to see that a great sannyasi could touch a Shudra, and they were also surprised that Ramanand Rai, who was a great governor and practically king of the province, was crying simply by touching a sannyasi. While the Brahmanas were considering this, Lord Chaitanya understood the unfavorable situation and he pacified himself. After this, Lord Chaitanya and Ramanand Rai both sat down together, and Lord Chaitanya informed him that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has spoken very highly of you, so I have come to see you. Ramananda Rai replied, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya considers myself as one of his devotees, and therefore he very kindly recommended you to see me. Ramananda Rai very much appreciated the Lord's behavior for his touching a man of wealth. A king or governor or any politician is always absorbed in thoughts of political affairs and pounds shilling pence. Therefore, such persons are avoided by a sannyasi. But Lord Chaitanya knew Ramananda Rai to be a great devotee, and so he did not hesitate to touch and embrace him. Ramananda Rai was surprised by the behavior of Lord Chaitanya, and he cited a nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, in which it is stated that the great personalities and sages appear in the houses of worldly men just to show them mercy. Lord Chaitanya's special treatment of Ramanand Rai indicated that although Ramanand Rai was born of a family who were not Brahmanas, still he was far advanced in spiritual knowledge and activity. Therefore, he was more respectable than a Brahmana who happens to born in a Brahmana family. Although Sri Ramanand Rai, out of his meek and gentle behavior, accepted himself as born of a lower Shudra family, still Lord Chaitanya considered him to be situated in the highest transcendental stage of great devotion. The devotees never advertise themselves as being great, but the Lord is very anxious to advertise the glory of the devotee. Ramanand Rai and Lord Chaitanya just acquainted for the first time that morning at the bank of the Godavari, separated, and there was an engagement made that Ramanand Roy would come in the evening to see the Lord. In the evening, when the Lord was seated after taking his bath, Ramanand Roy came to see him with a servant. He offered his respects and sat down before the Lord. Before Ramanand Roy could ask the Lord anything about advancement of spiritual knowledge, the Lord himself inquired, please quote some verses from scripture about the ultimate goal of life for the human being. Sri Ramananda Rai at once replied to the Lord that a person who is sincere in his occupational duty will gradually develop the sense of God consciousness. In this connection, he quoted a verse from the Vishnu Purana in which it is stated that the Supreme Lord is worshipped by following the principles of one's occupational duty. and there is no other alternative for satisfying the Supreme Lord from the formalities of performing one's occupational duties. The purpose is that human life is meant for understanding one's relationship with the Supreme Lord and acting in that way. Any human being can detail himself with the service of the Lord by discharging his prescribed duties or occupational performances. For this purpose, human society may be divided into four classes, namely the intelligent class or the Brahmanas, the administrative class or the Kshatriyas, the mercantile or productive class called Vaishyas, and the laborer class or the helping class, the Shudras. For each division of human society, there are prescribed rules and regulations and occupational functions. The prescribed duties of the four classes of four four divisions of human society are very nicely described in Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapter 42 to 44 verses. An organized, civilized society of humanity should follow such prescribed rules and regulations for particular divisions. At the same time, for spiritual advancement, they must follow the four stages of ashrama, namely the student life, which is called brahmachari life, then householder life, then retired life, and then renounced life. Ramananda Rai stated that persons who are strictly following the rules and regulations of these eight divisions of human society are the best, and they are actually satisfying the Supreme Lord. One who does not follow the principles of the social division and the rules of spiritual advancement is certainly spoiling his human form of life and gliding down towards hell. One can peacefully execute the goals of human life simply by following the rules and regulations which apply to himself. The character of a particular person becomes developed by following the principles of regulation according to his birth and association and education. The divisions of society are so designed that many persons of different characteristics can be regulated under them for the peaceful administration of social life and spiritual advancement. The social divisions of human society may be divided as follows: one who has taken as the aim of his life to understand the Supreme Lord, personality of God, and for which aim he has devoted himself to the learning of the Vedas and similar literatures, is called a Brahmana. A person who has taken to the occupation of showing his force and of administering government is called a Kshatriya. One who is engaged in agriculture and herding cows and trade and business is called a Vaishya. Persons who have no special knowledge but are satisfied by serving the three other higher social divisions are called Shudras. If one faithfully discharges his prescribed duties, it is surely an advancement toward perfection. Therefore, a regulated life is the source of perfection for everyone. This regulated life, when culminating in devotional service to the Lord, attains its perfection. Otherwise, it is a useless waste of time. Hare Krishna. So here, the summary of this reading is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked Lord Chaitanya to visit one of his devotee who is not a Brahmana but is a great devotee. His name was Ramanand Rai. But Lord Chaitanya do not want to associate with people who are in political affair because he is a sannyasi. Then Ramanand Rai came to visit the Lord. Ramanand Rai, um, Lord Chaitanya received him um, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. They both embraced in ecstasy. Brahmanas did not understand and they were so the Brahmanas were there present there and they didn't understand, the the bhakti process here, and they were surprised to see a sannyasi embracing a Shudra. A greatest personality like Ramanand Roy was crying by touching the Lord. So the Brahmanas got, perplexed. Ramanand Rai and Lord Chaitanya had conversations for many days. Lord Chaitanya knows that Ramanandrai, even though he is in a high position, but he is a great devotee. Ramanandrai was surprised about Lord's behavior, and he started to quote words from Srimad Bhagavatam. Devotees should be humble, do not advertise themselves to be something great, but the Lord's ego is even more to advertise the glory of his devotee. Ramananda Rai kept visiting the Lord. The Lord asked him to write some verses on the ultimate goal of life. He wrote, human life is meant to understand the relationship with God, engage in the service of the Lord while discharging the prescribed duties. That is the reason the human society is divided into Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and four stages of ashrama: Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Following this eight division can satisfy the Lord. If not, it spoils the human form of life. If one faithfully discharges his prescribed duties, he is sure to advance towards perfection. The Lord is pleased not by